Winners control emotion and pressure, whilst losers are controlled by emotion and pressure. Today I'm joined by John Cottrell in his 10 Rules to Life. John Cottrell is a business coach.
I used to be.
Used to be.
Yeah.
Known as the breakthrough guy, helping business owners. He's helped me and an awful lot of my friends be better versions of themselves. Part 5 of being a better human being and happier is winners control emotion and pressure, whilst losers are controlled by emotion and pressure.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that, John?
So sport is probably the best, example, because it happens right in front of our faces, whereas business is maybe sometimes a bit more hidden. So if I'm a winner, I need to perform under pressure. Yeah. If we look at the All Blacks historically and rugby, I'm sure other people know football teams that thrive under pressure. We have what we call match day pressure. That's where it peaks. And so the job of the coaches is to train the teams under peak pressure so they don't drop the ball or they don't miss the penalty and those kinds of things, so that at that World Cup final, with 5 minutes to go, everybody keeps their heads. And what that does, of course, is it piles a load of pressure on the opposition and you end up prevailing because you dealt with the conditions better than the opposition did. If we think now, let's come back to the estate agency game. If I'm walking up the garden path to do a market appraisal on a property, what's my heart rate doing?
Pumping like hell.
It might be. But if it isn't, because I'm calm, what's my purpose to be, give great service to my community or whatever it is, right? I'm not so beholden to the outcome. My ego isn't giving me loads of stuff in my ear.
If I don't get this one, you're a failure.
Right, and all that. It's gone.
You just go, so therefore you're focusing on not necessarily the outcome, which is winning the listing.
Yeah.
You're focusing on how do I make sure that my process is as good as it can be at this appointment.
I might even just be concentrate on being calm and peaceful. I trust myself. I've done this 1,000 times before. I'm going to enjoy meeting the vendors of this property. Let's find out if I can help them. If I can, great. If I can't, I'll refer them to somebody else.
Why do you think valuers and listers take losing a listing so personally?
Because, as we've discussed, they're doing it from the point of ego. And some of them, particularly in the self-employed model, they think, oh, that's another bit of commission I'm not going to get.
But how can you lose something you never had?
Quite.
Maybe just expand a bit more on that.
Yeah, so if I'm putting pressure on myself, one of the ways people do that is they overlap observation of a situation and judgment of a situation. They tend to put the two together, right? And if you look at Marshall Rosenberg's, what he calls nonviolent communication, MVC, so the first mistake we make is we overlap. In other words, we're making meaning of a situation using our ego rather than standing back and observing the situation and seeing what's happening, and only then thinking about what are the possible meanings that may apply in this situation. Yeah. There's a great advert for the Times several years ago. It shows a young black man racing towards this guy and he knocks him over. And of course, what you're supposed to think is, oh, the black man is mugging the white man. But then the camera pulls out and there's a pallet of concrete flying down this building because something's failed. And this young black man has literally shoved this guy out of the way and he saved his life. So in just a few seconds, you've gone from mugger to lifesaver. But what was it that made you think he was a mugger in the first place? That's your ego. So you have to stand back and give yourself the opportunity to observe what's going on. And of course, what that does is it takes pressure off you, because you're now what we call dissociated. You're at a distance from a situation. You're calmer, your heart rate's lower, you're engaging in your cortex, not your limbic brain, your emotional brain. So things are much more in control. And then the natural wisdom you have will come through and prevail in that situation.
Why do you think estate agents get really offended when they lose a listing?
Oh, well, okay, well, I've been rejected, haven't I?
And the biggest fear of an eye or a disc profile is
Yeah, rejection.
why the offence? Why do they take offence at that? Like an affront on their person.
Yeah, how dare you?
Is this the ego again?
Yes. Yeah.
This ego is running all the way through all this.
Yes.
All top 10 tips, aren't they?
Yes.
Because they tend to be D profiles, their personality, perception is that they're egotistical.
Yes, so I'd say a lot of agents seem to me they want to be liked.
Yes, it's like Tinder for ugly people. They might not have sex, but at least they like them.
I couldn't comment on that, Chris. But in the agency game, yeah, a lot seem to want to be liked. And there's a flakiness to it as well, that I think agents need to be aware of. But that's a question they need to ask themselves rather than.
So coming back to controlling emotion and pressure,
Yeah.
what do we need to focus on? What do we need to change to enable us to control emotion and pressure?
Yeah, so the first bit is the awareness of how we react to situations. That's the first thing. I think then the second thing is to understand what our own triggers are, what's causing me to get anxious about this or to be worried about it or to be late all the time. There are triggers that will do that. We need to find out what they are.
Because you said in a previous video, it all starts with self-awareness.
Yes. Yeah, without that, you're going to be really struggling when you're trying to improve it. Or you'll have some blind spot that you're never aware of. Everyone else will know, but they won't tell you, because if they try to tell you, you'll get upset with them. It's ego again, the chimp from the chimp paradox. But if you're open and you're more what we call dissociated, so you see yourself in the situation, it's much easier to remain calm.
You almost have to take yourself
Go on.
out of your own body and
Yes.
almost have yourself
Yep.
here.
Yeah, that's right.
That am I
Yeah.
being I don't know.
Yeah.
That's almost what you try.
Yeah, to observe yourself in the situation. It's a really important skill. And it's very rare.
And by doing that, you can control fear and emotion and pressure.
Yeah. Well, you may not need even to control them because you won't experience them. This is about seeing, remember we talked about the finite and infinite games? If you see it as an infinite game, it's just the joy of playing.
Yeah, because you can't win all the time, otherwise
Right.
it wouldn't be a game.
Right.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's talk about the infinite game in the next video.
Okay.